All right, Zach Small, appreciate you taking the time to join me. I actually just reached out to you on Twitter after doing a video with George Bruno, and just want to welcome you to the show.
No, thanks for having me, Michael.
Now, you're on thefamilyalpha.com and Zach Small underscore on Twitter and thefamilyalpha at gmail.com. Maybe we can start by you saying, what is an alpha male?
We're diving right into this. All right.
Hell
Alpha
yeah,
male,
man.
it's a man who operates on his terms. We talk a lot about frame. Frame to me is reality. An alpha male is a man who does his thing regardless of acceptance or permission from others.
Huge. Now, you talk big about tribes, and yeah, I'll give you a little insight about what I did. I started a channel called Life Talks. The main reason I started it is because I noticed how weak I was, right? In a world of like mommy world and all that, I started to follow, people that you've heard, Jordan Peterson, and I saw a video recently where you're talking about it's really comes down to action. And I came to a place where I was like trying to keep my friends accountable and other, but it really came down to me. And really, I have to step up, be a man in the arena. And tribe was, you talk about tribe and an accountability part, like that is to me what I was lacking. I didn't have any men in my life saying, bullshit, why didn't you do what you said you were going to do? And I wasn't keeping myself accountable. So that's where I started my channel, Life Talks, is I need to reach out because I need other people. I need you, you need me, we need each other truly. At least that's my view. And we need more real men. And for me, I think what's lacking is the ability to call bullshit with love.
No, I agree.
So maybe you could speak a little bit on that, like the importance of tribes. You said, I believe you talk about accountability partner, and I believe you have a group called
the Fraternity of Excellence.
Maybe if you can go into a little bit of that.
Absolutely. So I separated from the military in 2014. And by 2017, I was running thefamilyalpha.com to talk about masculinity, marriage, and fatherhood. 2017, the Fraternity of Excellence was born. I am the owner of a private men's group. What we do is we link. It's not a private Twitter or Facebook. This is a place where men go to network. And these bonds are forged in the real world. When I left the military, the reason I even brought that up is there was real person accountability. If I wasn't doing my job, you were there to call me on it. Not like an asshole, just be like, hey, you're slipping. And if you slip, that's going to pull me down. We've got to work together to make each other grow, kind of like you were saying earlier. So I was missing that. When I left the military, I had that void, the mission carried on and I wasn't a part of it any longer. So I built it. Instead of sitting there and drinking myself into oblivion or sitting there and wallowing about how I used to be somebody, I was like, no, I'm going to find a group of dudes. I'm going to roll with them. And that's what we do. So we roll, and it's in-person accountability. And that group, it is a place for people who are willing to do the work. We have kicked a lot of men out because they're not there to work. And this is not a place where you go and hang out. Again, it's not a private social media platform. It's a place for men to connect and grind. And like you were saying, that's how you get results. So next month, my wife, myself, my two children, or our two children, we're going to be seeing some of these men with their families. This is real shit. And I think a lot of men online have lost that sense of accountability. And that's one of the biggest issues we're facing. So you say accountability partner, that goes so far, but some people hear that and they're like, oh, I'll DM this guy. No, you need to sit down across from him, shake his hand, have him sit there. And then you can say, hey, last time we met, you said you were going to start this business, start this YouTube channel, whatever it was. Oh, and you also said you're going to get in shape. How come you're not looking like you've lost weight? Why aren't you able to tell me the new videos that you've recorded and published? Why are you sitting here saying you want to do these things, but every time we sit and have coffee together, you have nothing new to tell me? You're not doing those things. You're the kind of guy who wants to look like you're successful by trying to talk about work instead of actually sitting down, doing it, and getting the results.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And especially, now, social distancing, all this BS that is being pushed on us, it's all this communication on texting. It's not real. It's not real. You need to be able to see body language, tone of voice. That is how we communicate. And, I was watching a video recently with Jack Donovan, where, and this has been something that's been coming to me, is just to kind of just like he was saying, in the Civil War, people were still writing books, right? So I guess it's to take this shit that's going on and use it as fuel. And that to me seems to be a recurring theme that is important to realize, because it's almost, to me, that's like a birthright of masculinity, to say, good, more confrontation. There's more opportunity to grow. right? Versus what I always heard growing up is like safety, security, right? What the outside world is telling. It's more, I went to Elliot Hulse's, one of his grounding camps, and he talks about, the world is maternity, it's motherly, and in order, the spiritual path, at least to me, and as he spoke about too, is that it's to overcome the world, right? To be in the world, but not of it, the Christian principle. And I'm seeing more and more what that really means, because people can talk, as you're saying, people can talk, but to really know it, I noticed in myself how full of shit I was. And it wasn't until I noticed how full of shit I was that I can really start to see and know what to do. And you said something in one of your videos, light your torch for the world to see, but for you to see, which is just kind of, that hit me like huge, because one of the problems that I didn't want to be in the arena being like, because I see a lot of people virtue signaling, right? And one of the reasons why I would shy away would be to not, I don't want attention, right? So, but then on the other side, it's like everyone's going out there for attention. So I guess a question to ask you would be, how do you be in the arena and separating yourself from being virtue signaling? That makes sense. How to be in the world but not of it, I guess, would be to get out of your own thoughts. What would you have to say on that?
Well, I'd say the bigger issue is, and this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, there is this pursuit of the perception of success. People want to be seen as being successful. That has literally nothing to do with being successful. You can put up a facade. That's a very stressful life, because you have to remember all the lies you've told. And if right now you're talking and you're saying my life's locked in, all this stuff, cool. And I say, hey, dude, I'm going to fly out. I want to record some content with you live. Your heart shouldn't skip a beat. Like, oh no, he's going to see that this is all bullshit. My whole world's going to collapse. You should be like, oh dude, definitely. Let's go. My whole approach to this entire thing has been authenticity. It's to be authentic. And I know that term has been beaten to death with the stick of overuse and just absolute misuse, but it's true. When you go and you just do your thing and you're not putting on a show for the stands, I don't care if people are watching. My group has over 200 men in it. I'll run that to 4 men. I will drive it into the dirt if that means I'm rolling with 4 dudes who are living the life they say they're living. I will never lower my standard to hit a quota. I would rather say I've got 4 solid dudes and say I've got 400 dudes in my group, because those 4 dudes are real instead of 400 fake dudes who aren't a part of what it is I'm trying to do. This is a real thing. Too many people go on and they're searching for, I want 1,000 subscribers. I want 10,000 subscribers. I want 45,000 followers. What do you care? Focus on doing your job. Focus on creating your content and doing your work. Live your life. A lot of men struggle with taking the words that they're using and applying them. If they're spending hours and hours on Twitter or their blog or YouTube talking about being a good family man, but they're not being a good family man, there's a serious problem. And that's why you see so many channels rise and fall, then they rise, then they fall. Because they're like, I want to be a good dad. I'm going to be a good dad. I can be a good dad. They've ignored their kids for months, and all of a sudden their kids hate them and they're getting divorced. What happened, dude? You were offering coaching services about marriage, and now you're getting divorced because you were trying to look like you had your shit together instead of actually doing it. And that's one of the biggest things is I'm like the anti that. Like I spit in the face of everyone doing that. Like, this is me, success, failures, everything in between. And I think by embodying that and saying, hey, I'm good at this, I'm bad at that, but I'm working on getting better in all areas, I hope that inspires others to do the same and be a little more authentic in their message and less pursuing likes and trying to look like the person they think other people want them to be. Just be who you are and own that shit. And that's how you can be the man who's in the arena and you're just ready to fight. You don't care who's watching or not watching.
Yeah, and I think that's ultimately the embodiment of the father, right? The perfect love of the father is not, it's not emotional love. It's tough love. It's literally what we need. So I definitely commend you for doing that. Maybe if you could go into, maybe a starting point would be, where would you have men who are lost, who are trying to, who speak to me, for example. I mean, for a year ago, this has been a journey for me, where it's the sense, like I said, I watched Jordan Peterson, watch all these podcasts, a lot of friends who watch all these podcasts, but when you look at the actions, it's not translating. So what would you say to someone who is trying to translate wisdom into action? Where would be a good starting point?
So stop reading the books and stop listening to the podcasts and stop watching the videos. Go out and start doing things. Go out and lift weights consistently, however many days, 4 days a week, 6 days a week for a month straight. and then watch a video on working out. You know, there's too much listening and watching and learning and reading and analyzing and trying to perfect and coming up with your marketing strategy and coming up with the best way to talk to the girl. Dude, stop. Go to the bar, go to wherever it is you're going, go to the library, speak to that woman. You know, you can read a million books on how to throw a curveball. If you don't pick up a baseball and throw it from the mound, you'll never throw a curveball. You know, and guys lose that. Replace baseball with anything else you're doing in life. I would say stop researching the perfect way to do this and stop trying to be one of the guys online. And, you know, you're running this channel. I'm not speaking to you to shut your channel down.
No,
what I'm saying is don't run this YouTube with the hope of, well, I'm going to make it through YouTube and that's going to make me find some satisfaction. Like, you find this satisfaction through a conversation like this and then 100%. Applying it in the real world. And that's where, oh, I was talking to Zach and he said, be authentic. I just went and did this thing that I wanted to do. Now I can talk about that in the channel because you did it. But if you're talking on the channel without ever achieving any real work, dude, you're going to collapse. The weight of the world will crush you. It'll crush anybody that tries to do it. That always happens. You need some friends. So if you go out there, find the dudes who are honest with you. You know, that's what I love about FOE. I'm 423 days sober today. 450 days ago, a buddy of mine, Phil Foster, said, dude, you're getting fat and you're getting soft on the edges. Like, what's up? I was like, fuck. You don't want your friends to say that to you. You don't want to be called fat, but you're like, dude, like, he didn't come at it like demeaning. He said, hey man, like your body is not aligning with your values. You talk a lot about dad bods and being in shape. You're having all this success in all these other areas. Why are you overlooking how alcohol is a crutch to you? And having a friend like that, dude, changed my life. Like I said, over a year sober now. Now I'm crushing it. I couldn't be even better. If I didn't have that friend to step up, do I take that action? I don't know. Yeah. What I do know is I had that friend. I had that guy. So as you're going out and doing these things, you surround yourself with other people who do things, not guys who talk about things, not handles online that have like a cool masculine fucking profile photo. And they're like, oh dude, my notch count's like 5,000. That's great, dude. How about we meet in person? How about you show up in the real world and let me see what it is that you do? If they can't do that, it's not real. And this isn't about internet points or electronic, thumbs up. It's about real work getting done. Because as you've seen, the real world got pretty freaking crazy. I've had a great time the entire time COVID's been going on. Why? Because my shit was squared away and I'm not impacted by the world. Like, they can't phase me. The people who are shook, they're reactive to all this. The world bothers them. They're not in control of their reality. The world's controlling them. It's telling them, be mad about this, be stressed about that. Dude, I can't relate any less to people who are just getting all in a tizzy about all this stuff. I'm doing me. Like, the world can do what it does. I literally just moved my family over 600 miles to get even closer to a lifestyle that aligned more with my values. Some dudes can't move out of their parents' basement. They can't move out of their apartment. They're afraid to get a new job. They won't quit their job and get another one because they're afraid of the conflict that will cause. I just uprooted 600 freaking miles from family, friends, support, and I would do it again. And, I've started the business during COVID. All the things you're not supposed to do, I've been doing, and it's been successful because when you actually take action and believe in what you're doing, you find success. You have that confidence, and that's what you build up. So my answer to you, a very long answer, is when you do things, the confidence that comes with that is compounding. And it's like the hardest thing is to get that rock rolling. But once it's rolling, man, you just got to maintain momentum. It's easier. So the hardest thing is just open the gym door, have that conversation with the girl, go get a new job, whatever it is for you. You have to do the thing.
Yeah, that's actually been a word too that's been deep in past few months for me is momentum. It's just getting into that grind, right? Once you get into that, then that starts to just flow, and then you get into that flow state. And momentum is damn huge. And what else do you do as far as in your group? You meet in person, and what else, like when you say do things, like is it work? You mentioned working out, love working out. What else do you do as far as inspiring men to be better versions of themselves?
So one is we have a standard of excellence, and we call it the code of honor. So to break this thing to the nuts and bolts, when you come in, there's an expectation. You speak to men with respect, you're given respect. You build your reputation, you grow, and men value you, they follow you, you kind of interact like that. Each week we have multiple video chats. The aim here is to give the closest access to one another that you can. So right now, you and I are having as close as possible to an in-person meeting right now. I can see you, I can hear you. It's everything except for I can't touch you or smell you, but we got everything else covered. So we run that multiple times a week, every single week in FOE. These guys, they travel for business. So some dude will be like, hey, I'm going to Ohio for a week next week. Who's there? A bunch of dudes will be like, hey, I'm in Ohio, whatever. All right. They meet up. They'll go get coffee. They'll go get dinner. Other regional dudes, they live near each other. Like I was saying, I live near several men now in North Carolina. So our families are going to get together. They're going to see not just me, but me and my wife. And not just me and my wife as a relationship, me and my wife and my children. So they're going to see Zach as the man, Zach as the husband, Zach as the father. There's no hiding in a situation like that. And I have no fear. I'm like, dude, you know who I am. Let's do this. Like, bring it. I'm probably better in person than I am online. And the same thing is said for them. So my relationship with them, it will be closer than yours and mine until you and I were to sit down and meet like that. And a lot of men, when they're missing relationships, they don't take that final step. So we do a lot of meetings like that because I want true connections to be forged, not random forums, but like this is legitimately a man that I could call on my phone at 2 a.m. and he will answer and be at my house if I need him to. That is wild. Yeah. That is insane, dude. But that's the world we live in. And if you use social media as a tool instead of being used by it and you being the tool, you can build these types of connections. And that's what you're doing with your channel now. You spoke with George. George, mentioned me. Now we're talking. Yeah. And who's the next guy? How are we going to bounce around?
And you mentioned the likes before too. Like that was like a big thing for me when I first started it. That was in the back of my mind. Like I want to get more and more likes, but now it's shifted. It's shifted to, just after having that conversation with George, he mentioned you. And then I was just like, why the fuck am I not thinking of, hey, let me ask Zach who I can reach out to next so I can learn from other people and build that connection. And ultimately, I'm understanding the Christian principles more and more. Like I would love to be in that place where I will die for what I believe in. Like that is ultimate because then you're truly living. If you don't have something you're willing to die for, or be a family and ultimately the ideals, right? That make this a free country, so on and so forth. Like, and what that means, what does freedom mean? Like these are the things that give life meaning. And if you don't something that's turned me off recently is like, not even recently, for years, don't talk politics and religion. We need more people talking about politics and religion because that's the foundation of what your life is. Like, and people to articulate it in a way that it's received. And if people are giving you, lashback, it's an opportunity to say, all right, they're not ready to wake up. That's okay. They can have their beliefs and they need to suffer more. Or knowing when, and I think there's a huge majority of it just communicating it more effectively and listening to people who are in that state of ignorance and being able to speak it, the right way. Because for what I think, it just takes a little bit more communication.
With that, there's also the flip side. You also know why you stand for what you stand for, and you'll also find out if you're wrong. So there are several times where I've made arguments within FOE. I'm like, no, this. And I was super confident because I truly believed it. But then evidence was presented and I was like, damn, I hate to admit it, but you guys are right. I was wrong. And, I'm open to that because I trust them and I respect them. So I've changed my opinion, which is oh my God, you might as well be changing religions. Like I changed my opinion on things. And it's just, that's how that works. But there are other times, like you were saying, where I present my truth and I'm ready for that conflict about religion, money, politics, whatever. And there's a lot of pushback. And I'm like, no. I know exactly why I stand here. And even though they're trying to blow holes in my argument, when you know why you stand for what you believe in, you're more confident. You're like, no, I hear what you're saying, but I know that to be wrong. And here's why. But if you've never argued your position, how do you really know that you believe it? You've never had to defend it.
Correct.
You don't know where your weak points are. You don't know what you don't know. When people argue with you, you're like, shit, I don't have an answer to that. Let me get back to you. And then you do more research and now you're even stronger in your faith or whatever the argument is, because now you know even more about it and you have less weak points for people to attack.
Yeah. 100%. And, I was watching your video at 21. Do you still do 21 convention or is that something that?
No, I'm no longer associated with 21 Con or Anthony Johnson.
Okay. Well, I just saw your video from last year and, that definitely stood out to me is where you really emphasize, and I felt it when you said it, just action, that really resonated with me because, I can countless times in my life we're just like, we should get together sometime. You hear people say that in life and it's just like, but then who's following through? And that really stood out to me is like, that's what I'm hungry for. I want to actually meet with people and strengthen, iron sharpens iron, right? Like that's what we need as men. And I really do appreciate what you're doing with your channel, and I will be looking into your group as well because I'm in Jersey. I don't know where you are. I mean, to me, it's a liberal shithole here. You know, not
Dude,
everywhere.
I was in Rhode Island. I just moved here like 2 weeks ago. So I'm in North Carolina now, but I just left New England.
Yeah. And you had said too, you know, the poking holes in the arguments. This is like, for years ago, I was, I'd say more liberal. It wasn't like liberal crazy, but it was just like live and let live. But as I'm going through this, and I appreciate what the world is throwing at me now, is that if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, you know, and that really needs to be hammered home. And you know, I've listened to Jordan Peterson. One of the things that Jordan Peterson said that's really awesome, because I struggled with the idea of, you know, either you're important or you don't matter, right? It's like, but it's not the right model. The right model is you're a node in a network, and that everything that you do matters, which means that everything you do bears responsibility. You don't get to make a choice. Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect me. It's going to affect you at some point. And I see that. It just like the walls are closing in, and this is an opportunity again to step up and lead. So yeah, uh, everything you do matters is so important, and that was like a big thing for me. And that was the thing with the virtue signaling thing, because I was like, I don't want conflict. But now it's like, well, what are the results if I don't do something? Choosing not to do something is a poison. You just get to choose which poison you're going to take. And that was a big epiphany. That was one of the reasons why I made this channel. Just like, I got to do something. And if it's just talking with people, that's the start, and knowing how to navigate. Because if you don't communicate, then, you know, the First Amendment leads to the Second Amendment, right? So ideally, let's use the First Amendment so we can communicate ideas and navigate through this shit.
You know, I'd say with that, one, when you look at the scan of the brain, like you always see like really bright like spots where everything's together. You never see like a really bright spot far away. So you've got to connect yourself if you want to be one of those beacons that where you can help others, but also where you can receive help, because those things are bright, not just because they're sending signals, but also they're receiving them. You know, something sends something to that lighthouse for it to share its light with those ships, be it electricity, be it fuel for a fire back in the day. Something lit that lighthouse up. What is that to you? How can you help those ships if you're not receiving anything? You can't be the dude who's like, I'm a lone wolf, I'm going at it.
Yeah.
That's a great theory. You sound like a tough guy. I'm going to stand on the bridge. I'm going to fight the army while they run. That's not reality. That's some romanticized LARPing shit going on in dudes' heads. It's ridiculous. You're not Rambo. You know, you're not going to do all these fight the zombies off. You have a hard time, you know, saying no to your wife. You have a hard time saying no to your mom, you know, whatever the situation is. You have a hard time with these simple things, yet you think you can do these grand things. And that's what really trips me out about guys, is when they find themselves in the situation where they think they are achieving and doing these monumental things, and yet they've done nothing. And at some point, it's usually at night when they're alone and maybe the booze hit, or they're just by themselves. That's when the weight really comes in. And that's also the biggest issue. And the second thing I wanted to say, when you're trying to be the person that you think others want you to be, that is so exhausting. The dudes who are stressed out, it's because every day is changing. Today, you've got to be wearing a pink pussy hat. Tomorrow, you've got to be Black Lives Matter. The day after that, make sure you're supporting Antifa. Don't forget to cheer on the alphabet people and what it is they're doing. You know, who knows what letter it is today. You've got to be supporting that. Oh, and go back and, you know, women's whatever. And then, dude, it is exhausting. But when you're a man just saying, dude, this is what I do. I am a family man. That I am a husband. I am a father. I have a wife. I have children. We do our thing. That's it. That is my lane. Stay out of my lane. I will stay out of your lane. Life is good. I don't go to bed stressed. These dudes, when they're alone, that weight comes down in their head. It's the anxiety is real. You know, some people say anxiety, depression, those things aren't real. No, it really is. I've spoken to the dudes, and when they're alone and in that dark place, dude, they are sad and they don't know how to get out. And that is why I do what I do. That's why I continue to do what I do. Honestly, I could float away. My life would be better without the internet. Like I would just be sitting, hanging out with my family, like super chill. I have my friends, easy day, but I love this. Like, this is my soul. This is the extension, expression of myself. I will do this until I can no longer do this, because it's needed. I enjoy it. The people enjoy it. And when I talk about being that lighthouse, I stand up and speak for a lot of family men, but I'm receiving it from other men. When they come and they share their stories, they motivate me with their messages. I'm like, dude, let's go. You starting this channel. I'm like, yeah, there's another voice. Let's go. We've got another lighthouse, another torch in the sky. Let's go forward, Michael. Let's go and see what we can do with this. How many eyes can we open up? 100%. It's wild, dude. You have no idea the effects that will happen after you make this choice.
Yeah, I've thought of it like it's cells in the body, like we're all one body, right? And it's like, if the cells, all they have to do is step up and communicate. But if we start separating ourselves, the whole body is going to die, right? That's why something really irked me with the, slow the spread, slow the spread, slow the spread. My gut told me, all right, on the surface, sure. But deep down, it was like you're slowing the spread of information. You're slowing the body's ability to communicate with itself, separate, divide one side with the other. I had people who go to Black Lives Matter rallies back, a year ago, and now they're changing their tune. So if I had at that time said you're wrong, who knows, they may have separated. So it's like everyone's operating on the information that they're receiving too. And that's why I was saying before too, it's really important to big thing for me, I've separated myself from a lot of people with zero resentment, right? Because I have family members who I disagree with, and I would always do what felt right rather than what was right for me. And now I've separated and I'm at peace. And again, no resentment towards them. That was a big thing. We would disagree politically and all that, because I think the truth is a lot more silent, to your point where when people are coming off drugs or alcohol, for me, it was porn. That was a void in my life that I had to, that I was trying to escape the world as I turned away from that shit, and just being with those uncomfortable thoughts and being by the truth is very silent. It's like a loving father. It's like you want to, who was I listening to recently? He was talking about, um, Patrick Bet David. I follow him online. He does Value Tammy. He puts some good stuff out. And he said when he raises his kids, he's like, you can do whatever you want. Just there's going to be consequences. And you talk about that too, choices and consequences. The loving father is like you're able to do whatever you want, but there's going to be consequences. To me, that's better than this enforcing hand. You do what I tell you. It's authoritarian dictatorship. So
Well, think about that though. We're literally the adults who say, do what I said because I said so, and then turn around and say, why aren't you guys standing up to the government, are the biggest hypocrites in the freaking world. You conditioned that child. All these people who are just blindly obeying authority, perceived authority, at least from the government, they are kids who are brought up to not make mom or dad angry. We do what they say because they said so, and then they won't yell at us or hit us. So when the government says wear 5 masks and stay 45 feet apart, okay, I don't want you mad. They're just the new mommy and daddy. My kids, absolutely not. They have free reign. If they ask, hey, why do we have to do this? I'll talk to them. So your mom and I think that blah, 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 blah. This is why we do it this way. It's better for you. It's better for all of us. It's more efficient. Okay. Sometimes they disagree. All right, cool. Let's talk about it. Why do you think it's not right? Try it your way. Let me know how it works.
Yeah.
Didn't work out, did it? Your first question, what is alpha? I run the thing called the family alpha. Everybody thinks this Mr. Machismo, dude. In my home, I'm probably the most chill individual I know. I mean, even outside my home, I'm a very relaxed dude. I have nothing to prove to anybody. I just do my thing. Life is good. When it's time to do work, I can get extremely motivated. Even in this conversation, every now and then you'll hear that the tiger's getting out of the cage, I'm very passionate about what we're doing. This movement, this conversation could save a life. That is serious shit.
Yeah.
But life isn't always meant to be serious. And look, if I'm going to be an alpha, a tough guy, it's not going to be to a wife and children. That's not who I'm going to boss around. I'd much rather square up. You and I have a discussion or disagreement. We will handle it man to man. That's what a man will do.
Correct.
A man doesn't boss around kids or bark at women or complain online. A man handles his shit and gets it done. And to your point, the life we are all living, you, me, everybody watching this, everybody listening to this, today is the consequence of every single choice you have made in your life up to this point. How you look, how you think, how you dress, the reason you're watching or listening to this, you made a choice. There is no one to blame but yourself if you do not like where you are. Now, you are the problem. You are the sole problem to all this because you made these choices. But the beauty of that is you're also the solution. You can fix this, make better choices. If you're fat, unfat yourself. There's resources everywhere. If you're alone, I literally just dropped my group. Forget there's hundreds of groups out there. You can find there are free ones, paid ones. Go start talking to people and be committed to them. If you're struggling in the dating arena, go start talking to people. Stop bitching online. You can fix your life. If you're an addict to porn, booze, drugs, whatever, stop. When you can find a strong enough why, you'll stop. So I truly believe if you don't like where you are, you have to make a change. And that sounds trite and it sounds obvious, but if it was so obvious, why wouldn't you have done it already? And that's what really gets me with people is they're like, oh, that's easy. Okay, do it. And then you can't because you're so comfortable. We live in a world where it's literally designed to keep us comfortable.
Yeah,
You know,
the
sit
Matrix,
down.
mother.
Dude, it's a real thing, man. And the
Yeah.
precision of it's super impressive. Like when you look at what's going down, it is impressive as hell. You know, it's just the way things work. It's designed to keep us almost neutered. You know,
Yeah.
watch the porn, eat the food, watch the shows, go to your job, don't ask questions, go home, climate controlled house, climate controlled car, climate controlled office. Don't expose yourself to the elements. Don't ever be uncomfortable. That's the message. Fuck that. That's death. Go outside, go in the sun, go in the rain, lift weights, make yourself sore, go for runs, go play with your kids, be connected, get rid of electronics. I do pretty much the opposite of everything prescribed to the modern man.
Yeah, speaking with George Fruto the other day, he's like, you know what? After this conversation, I'm gonna go have a nice meal, and he goes, just imagine Friday to Monday, no phone, no TVs, nothing. And if you're lucky enough, you get that signal from God, you know. And that maybe we could shift into that. What's your view on faith in God, and what does that mean to you? Because I bring up Jordan Peterson. I think this is a fair point. Is that it depends on what you mean by God, right? To one person, it's just like a wishy-washy thing, which I think has turned off a lot of people to religion versus the real essence of it, which is, I think it's the unspoken, that we're, you said we're receiver and signal. When we get the fuck out of our own head, we receive that signal and then we know what to do. And as long as we're operating, oh, I want the fancy car, as you said, the likes on this, you're disconnected. You're seeking that external source. But what is faith in God? What role does that have in your life? What does that mean to you?
So my relationship with God is a weird one. So coming up, I was brought into the Roman Catholic faith.
Same.
And then confirmed, I was like the honor grad. I gave the big speech at my confirmation class. I chose John Paul as my name. So it was Zachary John Paul Small because it rhymed. I thought that was cool. I was rocking, man. Like I was ready to go. And then I started asking questions. I started seeing people living lives incongruent with the faith. And I slingshot myself the other direction. Militant atheist. There are no gods. This is life. We're born, we die, we're animals. And then I came back. So like a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, let me fix that. For years, I was still questioning. I started like, well, maybe there's something. There's a lot of designs. And then I was like, all right, well, something's going on, but what's the right something? So then I started looking at the different texts, the different books and whatnot. I found my way all the way back to Roman Catholicism. And then like a month ago, I was like, no, guys, I'm good with Jesus. Like I'm back on board. I'm kind of doing it my way. We haven't found a church down here, but my discussions go in my head. Like my prayers, I talk to him like a man. I'm like, look, like I get it. Like you're doing your thing and you've got me here for a reason. And I just talk to him like that. And dude, that has helped me significantly. I've had a very rough year. I was doing a podcast earlier today and I explained it to the dude. He just started laughing. There was one, like, this is just a snippet of my year. I had my appendix removed from emergency surgery. 2 days later, I was rear-ended on the highway, smashed my truck to pieces, and it was totaled. The very next day, I was thrown out of a whitewater rafting raft into the river. And that's the first time that dude dumped any passengers. And it was me and like 4 other FOE dudes in one of our events. That happened all within 4 days. I lost an organ, I lost my truck, and I got thrown into a river within like 96 hours. And I was cool with it the whole time. People were like, dude, what's up with you? I was like, no, I'm good. Like if this is life, if this is what I'm meant to be doing, I'm good. And there's nothing, like my sister, she passed away this past Sunday. And I'm just like, dude, yeah, it sucks, man. And it's like, she's at peace. She's in his grace. She's better. She's in like bliss right now, total greatness. And I'm like, I can't sit and bitch about that, but it still hurts me. I still have to get over this. I still have a void in my soul, but I've got to carry on. So instead of sitting and feeling like I'm a victim or like, oh, the world's out to get me. No, this is just the world. And if this is my path and this is the path that God's put out for me, I'm going to walk this and I'm going to carry everything I can on my back and I'm not going to stop, because that is one of the things that I think gets a lot of people. You've seen that meme probably, or that like whatever, the picture of the dude chipping away for the diamond and the one dude turned around, he's right at the diamond and the other dude's still chipping. I'm not going to be that guy.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep on going, dude. And if I find diamonds, cool. If I find trash, cool. I'm going forward. I'm going to enter my grave jacked, beautiful, and just whenever it's my time, and that's sort of my approach to all of this. And I think having faith and having, a bigger picture where I'm like, look, we're all connected. Like there is a mission, there is a place to go. There is certain universal principles we should all be following. If we could just align there, we're much better. And that helps me, man. It helps me when I'm online and there's trolls blasting around. Yeah. Dude, I'd see a person on the other side of the computer screen hurting. I don't see some like little basement dweller like, I'm like, no, there's a dude there. He's probably hurting. Yeah. He's lashing out at me, but he's in pain. How can I help you, brother? Oh, go F yourself. All right, dude. Well, I'll see you tomorrow. Like, yeah, you can't phase me, dude. Like when I talk about frame earlier, when I was saying with alpha, that's real. I'm on my path. I'm doing my thing. And if you don't like it, you need to get the fuck out of the way because I'm not slowing down.
Yeah. And to your point with the troll, it's like, that is really the essence of forgive them, they know not what they do. Like that when I reflect on that principle, forgive them, they don't like it's deep as shit. It's recognizing that you're like to really recognize, because it's easy to say it. We talk about saying and then actually being the embodiment of that. When you see someone yelling at you or cut you off in the highway or whatever, and obviously you have that balance, you have to stand up for yourself, but also to really recognize that nothing is personal. That when people are spitting in your face, it's because I guess it's like when you shine, people who don't shine, they have to attack you because they haven't experienced it themselves. And to be real, it's like to be a born again Christian. I always heard that born again Christian, and it was like, just like, oh, so you just go back to church, talk to some guy and tell him, oh, this is all my shit, and then you're born again. No, it's literally going through that process of understanding your own shit. It's getting into that dark, dark place. And I appreciate you saying like those 4 things happening in that time and learning to say, what are you going to do? That you can't live in your mind and worry about it. I respect that shit. And it's, it's bearing your cross, right? That's like another example of bearing that, and I think that's respect the fuck out of you doing what you're doing, because that's what men need. Men need to be able to express. George Bruno talked about that as well, where it's emotions have a time and a place, right? And when you're around men of integrity, that there might be a time and a place where you can be like, this shit is fucking, it's sitting on me.
That's who it's for, though. You're absolutely like in FOE. I have discussions that I would never have with my wife. I would never talk to my children. That only the men who are carrying that same cross, only the men who are grinding and pushing themselves to that level truly understand what it is I'm doing or saying or feeling. Yeah. It's not for kids. It's not for a spouse. It's not for a lover. It is for a man you trust. And you said something too that I want to bring back because I'm going to start using this. So really well done. I'll try to remember to give you credit. It's, when you light yourself up at night and we say, be the lighthouse, be the torch, what draws bugs? What draws gnats at night? Light. When you're the light, you're going to bring as many bugs as much as you are going to light that path for other people to see, to find their way. And you've got to be willing to handle both. That's why when you flip that little switch and the blue light goes on and the mosquitoes go to it, that light, which is catching all those mosquitoes, that lantern, that could also be what's used to get you to where you're trying to go in that abyss of your mind. It's the same thing. So you've got to be able to handle, those who are coming at you in negativity and those who are saying, hey, thank you for showing me the way.
Yeah. And using your situations too. It's, like you said, those 4 things that had happened in that window, using that as fuel to become stronger, but not in the sense of like, because I do think in the manosphere, there's like this masochism mindset, which I went through a phase of it where it's like David Goggins, that's it. I'm getting up at 4:30 and I'm just fucking going. And then, it kind of passed, but it's still there in the sense that it's like, when you voluntarily bear that cross, you really do become stronger, but it's not stronger like I'm stronger than you, like the likes version, like you were talking about. I get more likes, I'm a tougher guy than you. It literally, I bring Jordan Peterson up a lot, but I really do think he's one of the fathers of our time, is where he says, be the man at your father's funeral, where everyone's down and sad, because that literally, that to me it's an essence of masculinity that people can lean on. It feels good to be in that position where you're providing support for other people, so then people can look up to you, and then in those times when you truly are down and you need help, people will help you. Be that person where it's proactive, 9 times out of 10 voluntarily, and then it's so much more powerful, because everybody's looking to many people are looking for validation from other people. Whereas where you are that beacon, it's nobody's going to save you is that's the message that needs to be played. I needed to hear it. I didn't hear it. I was raised from a single mother, and she did the best that she could do. Jesse Lee Peterson, who's in that 21, he helped me see that, where it wasn't, she was doing the best that but she was operating. Our natures are different. Women cannot raise men alone. Everyone's situation is different. I understand that, but you know what I'm trying to say. As far as that motherly love we need the father. We need that fatherly love, which doesn't get pulled into all the emotional stuff, and it respects it, but it doesn't. It's not run by it.
When you look at that too, you're absolutely correct. Women cannot be fathers. They can do their best. They can be great mothers. They can be fantastic mothers, but that doesn't make them a father. And that's not a detriment. It's not like a strike against them. I can't be a mother. I don't think I should be able to be a mother. I can be a great father, and if my wife had to go on a business trip or she had to go whatever for extended leave, I'd be there for my kids, but I'm not their mom. I can't be that. I can't offer that. Good. I stay in my lane. Like I'm the yin, she's the yang. I'll never be the yin yang. I'm only one dude. And that's why the genders are so complementary. They fit together. But when you're talking about these guys, father figures, something I found too that's really, I guess, recently stuck out a little more than it used to is the fact that when guys come online, they're able to find that father figure they were missing. They're able to find that, like, oh, I didn't have this guidance before. So they move forward on it and they're like, oh, I can do this now. Like this person helped me, and they take that action. And it's not the dad, but when I put the message out there, it's the hope that whoever needs this finds this. But a lot of the times too, it's this, these dudes just need a peer. They just need a friend that says, hey, I give a shit you exist. Get off your ass and do better. You're worth the time and the investment to be your best self and to be better than you are currently. And dude, it goes back to that tough love. And again, that's why FOE works. Like there's a lot of pushback. Hey dude, I want the best for you, which means you got to do more than you're doing right now. You're doing okay right now, but you can do better. And you don't really find that anywhere else except for a space where men have been exposed to this. So if you're not in the military, if you're not in the police or the fire, like there's very select groups and they're getting smaller. There's no fraternal orders. If you're not within one of those, you'll never get this. Like I said, it's the surgical precision they've used to keep us calm and numb and relaxed is impressive as hell. But at the end of the day, being comfortable isn't going to make you great. And it's not going to get you anywhere closer to the goals that you've set for yourself. So you've got to find some lions and run with them. You don't want to be the king of sheep. If you can do that, dude, you'll have great success. You'll never suffer a day of wondering, like, what's my purpose in life? Like, I know my purpose. I know my goals. I know my mission. I know exactly what it is I'm doing and why I'm on this earth. Every single day I'm reminded of that. If other men could have that or replicate it, I think the world would change overnight.
Yeah. I think that's essentially what Kingdom of Heaven is. When you have that peace, internal peace, and you're in tune with your own navigation, it becomes expressed externally. And I think externally, what we're seeing now, it's like even more so. I feel like pulled to like talk with like the shit that's going on in Australia, like that it. I don't want to say it shouldn't be happening because it's reflective of what we've become collectively, but I feel more and more of an urge to that's going to come here. It's just a matter of time. But it doesn't have to, so long as enough men step up and get connected with that internal, like that needs to stop. People need to know about it, but people are asleep, and it's not my, people are going to wake up when they're ready to wake up. But I feel an obligation in the sense, like you nailed it with the lone wolf thing, right? Like I've had that phase, but that's gone. Like it's like I'm gonna say, I'm like, I can't do shit by myself.
It's a real thing, dude. Like everybody thinks it, but then you're like, that's not what's best. It's like this thing where it seems like it's saving you. If you say you can do it alone, you don't have to worry about sharing your faults in front of other people. It's like a protective mechanism.
Yeah, 100%. Maybe shifting gears a little bit, because I'm kind of curious a little bit about I saw on your Twitter, you were a Navy veteran, correct?
Yes, sir.
What was your experience? I appreciate your service, truly, but what was your experience in there? What are some of the things you learned, and anything that you could share with other people that maybe, how implementing some of the things that you learned people can do in their life right now, just on a day-to-day basis?
So I was a horrible student. I was very active, but my brain was just all over the place. I stayed back in high school. Joining the Navy was the single greatest decision I've ever made for me. It's like joining the Navy, marrying my wife, getting sober. Top 3 choices in my life. The Navy what it taught me was that when you want something, go and get it. Like without any reserve, with relentless, absolute direct pursuit, go and get that one thing you want. If you can lock yourself into that and channel all your efforts to it, you will get it. And there's nothing that can stop you. As like, when I want something, like I will die or I'll get it. There's nothing in between there. I'm not going to stop pursuing that thing till I get it. Be it sobriety, be it running my family, whatever it is. There's a reason why the familyalpha.com is still in operation. How many dad blogs have risen and fallen in the past 6 years? Like, this is my jam. This is what I do. This is how I breathe. This is me. And I'm going to do this until literally I cannot do this anymore. The Navy helped me understand that. It sort of instilled that sense of commitment and direction. On top of that, it taught me how to operate with others. So my leadership style was honed in the military. My communication style, my last 3 years, I was on instructor duty. So I was literally being videotaped and critiqued to the most minute details, how I spoke, the rate of speech that I had, my filler words, how much, hand mannerisms I had. I was taught all these skills. And that's where I realized it's really important how you speak to other people, how you present yourself, whether you speak from your throat or your chest. I also learned somebody has to take action. When shit hits the fan, somebody has to stand up. Why not you? Why not now? With all these COVID things going on, why aren't you up and thriving and bringing others with you? Let's have a great day. Well, they shut down gyms. Let's go for a run at the park. We're not allowed at the park. Let's go to the beach. Okay. And now you're going and running at the beach. Why can't somebody step up and be that voice that removes all excuses from their friends and keeps everything in motion and working? The military taught me a lot, but it really taught me how to communicate, how to lead, and how to channel my energy. And honestly, that's something that you don't really need the military for. That's a very controlled environment to do it, but you can replicate that at home. Like, just tell yourself for once, just one time, go all in on who you are. And if we're using you as an example, Michael, find like whatever your next goal is, see what it's like to give it literally everything you have to that goal. And to anybody listening, people normally go maybe 50%. Oh, I'll try it. I'll say it publicly. I'll tell a few friends. No, dude, literally put everything you have on the line. I talked about moving here. I literally moved my whole family. I have put my nuts on the chopping block 30 plus times this year, like jumping out of a plane and just building the parachute as I'm falling to the earth. It's like, there is no going back. That we say the ships are burned on the shore. Dude, I keep burning my ships, man. I'm running out of firewood, dude. There's nothing left because I'm just going all in all the time. And there's just no reservation. That's almost become my MO. Like, the next thing I want to do, I'm like, all right, let's go do this. September, I'm doing a 60-second, I'm about to drop it today, 60 seconds to success in September. So every single day for the rest of the month, just a 1-minute clip. I'm going to talk about something for 1 minute to help people just that day, working on parenting, working on marriage, working on health, friendship, whatever it is, and it's just, I want to do something. So I'm going to do it 30 times in a row. I will not miss a day. I'm all in. I will make that happen. That is the greatest priority when it comes to creating content right now for me. Whatever the goals are, when you set them and you pursue them relentlessly, you'll be so impressed with what you're capable of. And you'll find out, like, shit, I thought, I wanted to go here. And when you get there, you're like, I'm going so much higher and so much further. I thought 1,000 subscribers would be cool. I'm going for 150,000 now. You're not going to be satisfied. You get more hungry and you realize, I underestimated myself. I'm capable of so much more.
Yeah. It makes me think of, working out with the inner voice was always saying, you need to do more, you need to do more. And then the other voice is saying, just appreciate where you at. And then I was just like, it's taking the polarities and putting them together is that, appreciate where you're at, because I remember, past few years, it's like, oh, fat shaming. Now it's becoming like, you can't say somebody's fat. No, if you're fat, you're fat, right? Like, but you shouldn't get into this guilt, regret, all that's not constructive. But if you're fat, being real, just say, appreciate where I'm at, appreciate, I can walk, I can do this, I can do that, but also being hungry. Like, that's always been a thing for me in the gym. Keeping that mindset, right? Because otherwise you can almost become the opposite for men. It's the opposite of anorexia, right? It's like, how much more? I need more muscle. I need more muscle. It becomes something where it's not even, it's keeping that balance, that middle way.
I think I fall too far on the extreme side sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, as you're saying that, I'm kind of reflecting on myself. I'm like, he's talking to me. I'm like, It's not that I'm never satisfied, dude. I'm like I said, I'm always kind of kicking it with the kids and hanging out. Like, oh man, life is good. But at the same time, I'm like, more, more everything. I got to keep going.
I think, I've been thinking of like a 90-10 principle, just like where it's just, you're going hard, you push yourself and then just taking that 10%, even the biblical principle, right, of just taking one day off, right, where you're taking that one day. And I've been thinking, I'm just getting into Twitter a little bit. I've mostly reposted and reshared, because I feel like once you're in the arena, it's, because I feel like I'm still more in a learning phase, right? I don't want to be a sheep leading sheep. I'm aware of that, right? But my time for me is it's calling. It has to come now, like, because I have so much to share with the world. But it's like, once you enter that arena, there's no bullshit, right? I feel that.
Reputations matter, and you're building yours now. Just in this conversation, if I see you in 3 months, I'm like, hey, dude, what's up? Like, you better have a list of things, like your reputation matters. You've already entered the arena. The moment that you shot that DM to me, I was like, all right, the clock started ticking. Now I'm like, all right, I'm watching this dude. Like, what's he all about? What's he going to be doing? And then I kind of see what you're dropping, what you're creating, what you're resharing. You're like, all right, this is where he's going. There's his message. Where do I align with that? All right, cool. I'm on board with, men's improvement and whatnot. Obviously, George, he's a friend of mine. So the vouching for you is like, yeah, good dude. I'm like, cool. Let's do it. Let's rock.
Now I got to get the beard out too. You guys are.
No, dude, no. Like, he's got me smoked, man. He can just like snap his fingers, but it's a real thing. Like, reputations matter, and that's something that when you put your name on the line, like you've got Michael. Is that your name?
Yes.
Okay, so I wrote under a pen name for the first 3 years. I was Hunter Drew, so I was recording content because I was afraid, like, oh, red pill, I'm going to get fired. And then when COVID hit, I just said, fuck it. Like, we're now in a place where the world is so separated. I wanted to connect. So I killed Hunter Drew, which was the pen name. And I came out with Zachary Small, which is my actual name. I was like, hey, this is me. Like, we need to really connect. I've kind of been operating out of maybe a fear mindset, and I'm done with that. Like, we got to evolve. We got to keep growing as men. And this is me growing. So that's when I came out with my real name. But now even more so, when you Google me, when you find me, like, it's easy to find who people are. You got to make sure all your shit lines up. And people realized when they started searching me, like, oh, you really did do this, really did go there, do that thing. Like, yeah, I didn't make that. The only thing that was different about my content was the letters in my name. The life lived was exactly what it was. And for you, people are gonna be like, all right, Michael, what are you all about? In 50 episodes from now, they're gonna come back to this episode. You said you were gonna go do XYZ. Did you do it?
Yeah.
And if you didn't, they're like, you're just saying shit then. But if you did do it, they're like, oh, of course you did. You're the man who's always gonna crush his goals and whatnot. So it's funny how people jump on board, or they're also the first ones to critique you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's judge not lest they be judged, right? In the sense that once you, and that's the cool thing too, is, as you pursue that, then that you can keep other people accountable. Yeah, truly. Enough has been said. 100%. You're true. 100%. So, I think that'd be a good place to end there. I did want to talk to you a little bit more if you got a few minutes after.
Yeah, man. Let it roll.
All right. Thanks for coming on, brother.
Yes, sir.